Hey guys, welcome in Stinkin Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth, excuse me, I almost messed up my own name, and Mike Evans on the call. What are we doing? Hey, thank you so much for making us a part of your day. I'm a little bit flustered, Mike. I've got a lot of stuff going on right now. Just really, diving in here. Focus, training camp. It's all exciting. Games are about ready to kick off. It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome, and I think I need a desk because I've got all kinds of notes,
computer.
Phone. I got a bunch of stuff that I want to run by you, but we'll keep it all here nice and tidy.
Okay.
Hey, football's back. As we are sitting here right now, we are getting ready for the Hall of Fame game, Chicago and Houston, which will mean uninterrupted football until February. How glorious is that?
Hall of Fame, it brings back great memories because it's the first game I ever played in.
That's a great story.
Yeah, Hall of Fame game. My first game, Washington versus Buffalo, the Bills. And I tell you, so many things I can recall back to that. One, I was R1 on kickoff cover.
R1?
Yeah, that's the guy closest to the kicker.
Okay.
So I ran down at 283 pounds or 285 pounds as a kickoff cover guy.
Wow.
So I come flying down.
Blowing up the wedge.
Well, yeah, that was my job. And so I go flying down there because I could run as a rookie, and I get a wedge bust. I get a credit for a wedge bust and an assist on a tackle. My first kickoff cover ever. And I was coming off the field. Everybody's dapping me up. This is great. And I was like, I made the team. That's what I thought. I mean, this first kickoff I've ever covered. I kicked off in high school, but come on. I mean, it's the first kickoff I ever covered. And so I legit thought I made the team. So anyhow, we score, and I'm covering kick again. And, man, this little 240-pound fullback came from – I didn't see him. And I'm running down the field just yee. Just got me right in the freaking chin, ass over tea kettle, feet in the air, right? And from that point forward, I was absolutely worthless. I was 100% worthless. I was running down with a head on a swivel, where are they coming from? Where? I'm never going to hit it like that again. And I realized about 2 or 3 games in to my rookie season covering kicks in the preseason, I was like, if it comes down to me making this team covering kicks, there ain't no way I'm making this team because I am not that crazy. These guys are insane. And they've changed that kickoff rule. This year it's a changed rule. But I will say this. My parents, God bless them, they're awesome. Herb and Jeanette, poolside and Jeanette. My mom passed away a couple of years ago. God bless you. She's unbelievable. But they came down to the Hall of Fame game.
From Alaska.
So they flew from Alaska to the Hall of Fame game, came and see me, and that was the first time. That's the first time I got my jersey. I was practicing in number 50. And I got into the locker room there, and I'm looking for my stuff, and it says Schlereth. I got a little name plate, right? And it's 69 with my number on the back. And I didn't ask for the number. People always go, did you ask for that number? I go, no, listen, toolbox. I just wanted to find we always say, just trying to get a suit. I just want a suit. That's all I wanted. Just wanted an opportunity. So that was the number I was assigned. I didn't say, hey, I don't like this number. I played with number 60 in college, or I was number 52 in high school. Can I get No, I was just happy to have a suit. That's all I wanted. And I kicked ass in that game. I played really good. And other than the kickoff cover where I got blown up, but as I came in center the second quarter and played the rest of the game at center, and that's what I got drafted to play, and played really well and was really excited about the game. But years later, in a moment of truth serum with my parents, we were talking about the Hall of Fame game, and my mom and dad both admitted the only reason they came to that game is they figured it's going to be the only game I ever played in the NFL. That's what they thought. So they bought a ticket. It's my first game. It's probably going to be his last game, honey.
So let's go see
Let's
him.
Go see the little shaver,
Before
right?
Before he has to get on with his real life.
Before he comes back to Alaska and is a loser that we're supporting for the next 30 years. So anyhow, that's a true story. They're like, there's no question we came to that game because we thought it might be the only game we ever played.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is great.
That's great parental support right there.
Parents love. There's nothing quite like a parent's love. Well, this Hall of Fame game, we've got Houston, Chicago, and a couple of interesting storylines involving the quarterbacks. Caleb Williams is not going to play in this game, or whenever you're watching this, did not play in this game. And the argument or the idea, the reason why Matt Eberflus, the coach, saying, yeah, the starters aren't playing. We got a long preseason ahead of us, and the starters aren't playing. Caleb's the starter. he's not playing.
Yeah.
But in this case, should he play?
Yeah, well, I'm a believer in you got to play. Like, to get better, you got to play. And the only place you realize what you can do and you can't do, and where you learn what you like and what you don't like, and what works technically and technique-wise and what doesn't work, is by doing it in games. And, I mean, let's face it. We're talking about the Chicago Bears. They haven't been worth a score to piss in a decade, right? Or maybe more. When was the last time Chicago Bears won anything?
No, the 85 Bears.
Right. So, I mean, they went to the playoffs a couple times with Jay Cutler, right? But really, like to me, I'm not saying you've got to play a full quarter. But wouldn't you like, if you're a Chicago Bears fan, wouldn't you like to see him have a couple of drives on offense with Caleb Williams? Wouldn't you like to see all these new quote-unquote offensive weapons that you went out and got? Wouldn't you like to see those guys get opportunities? I mean, this is a totally new group. Keenan Allen is over there. You know, the Caleb Williams is new. What's the other kids that drafted? With the Adunze? He's new. Like, they've got a lot of new pieces to the puzzle.
But if those other starters aren't going to play,
well,
then how are you going to be?
If your starting quarterback plays, everybody plays.
Well, that's the argument then. So you're saying all the stars should play.
Absolutely.
You're not saying rest of the stars can sit up, but Caleb needs to get some reps.
Well, I mean, the guys up front, they're all young. Like, they're young guys, right? The receiving core, DJ Moore's played for a long time, and and Keenan Allen. But your wide receivers, it's not like it's not like you're out there life-threatening situations, right? It's not like you're hitting people and stuff. So yeah, I think everybody should play. I think me personally, I think it's important to play, and it's a long preseason. Hell, you practice once a day in shorts and T-shirts. I mean, give me a break. I like the level of the wussiness that is the NFL anymore is like, oh, we gotta wrap them in bubble paper. Do it like they did in Little Giants. Wrap the kid in bubble paper, little poppy paper. Wrap him in that stuff and send him on out there in case he gets hit. I mean, Lord have mercy.
C.J. Stroud. I know you're a big C.J. Stroud fan, but I do wonder if you think he may have gone a little too far in a podcast that he did this summer, in which he was talking about Aaron Rodgers. And he was asked, would he rather have Eli Manning's career or Aaron Rodgers' career?
Yeah.
And he said, quote, you want the rings. Eli's got 2.
Right.
Then he went on to say about leadership. And he said, and I'm quoting C.J. Stroud here, you know what I think it is? I've talked to Tom Brady about this because he's a good mentor to me. What he told me is his teammates and how he treats his teammates. And that's where I think it falls off for Rodgers. We don't know how Aaron Rodgers treats his teammates, but you can guarantee that Tom Brady treats his teammates right because how he got those rings.
Yeah.
Should a second-year quarterback, albeit one that came off the year he had, should he be saying those kind of things?
Well, I'm not going to give you an excuse, but I'm going to give you a reason. It happens to me on this podcast occasionally. Get on a podcast, and it's like you're John Cena. You can't see me, right? And you get a little loose. Things are going well. You're having a little fun.
I drive the wedge.
Right, and the next thing you know, your tongue gets loose, and you say some things that you're like, oh, shoot, maybe that didn't come out the right way. And the next thing you know, you're making a phone call to Aaron Rodgers and go, hey, let me preface what happened. This is what happened. Like with all the Lamar Jackson stuff that, created a firestorm here and got me called all kinds of names. I gave the preemptive strike. I mean, after I was done, I was like, and I didn't say anything inflammatory. I just told the truth. I go, okay, hey, John Harbaugh, let me just tell you what happened on my podcast so you're aware when you open up camp, you may catch some strays on my behalf. So that's probably a phone call that's going to happen. Listen, Tom Brady is a great teammate. And I could tell you stories about Tom Brady, like when he went to like playing cards with the rookies, a guy coming in like off the waiver wire from somebody else, and he walks in the locker room, and Tom Brady walks in there and says, "Hey man, Tom Brady, how are you? What's your name?" Like The guy goes, I know who you are, right? And I'm some backup tight end or whatever. But that's how Tom Brady operates. But I'm just going to tell you this right now. I know that Aaron Rodgers can come off, with his ghee butter retreats and going off to Egypt and all the things he does. I mean, he's a deep thinker. And whatever, you can be mad at him for his vaccination stance and everything else, and politically some of the things that he does. But I know enough guys that have played with Aaron Rodgers that love playing with Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers is a dude. Like, he's a dude, now he's a little quirky dude now. I mean, as he's gotten older, but he's a dude. And I think guys like playing with him as well. And I think, I agree with him in this. He should have probably just stopped at, I'll take Eli's because he got more rings, and I want rings. And I want my quarterback more than celebrity, more than Pro Bowls, more than All-Pro. I want my quarterback to want rings and covet rings first and foremost. So I do think there's probably going to be a phone call apology maybe to Aaron, like, hey, man, that was – I took myself out of context, or however you throw that out there.
Well, because it's not like it was just kind of one random quote. He also went on to say he was comparing Matthew Stafford to Aaron Rodgers, and he said, if you give Matthew Stafford a chance like Aaron Rodgers had, I guarantee you he might have had more rings. I'd say he would have had like 3 or 4. I just wonder. For all the success that C.J. Stroud had, is he smelling his fumes a little bit here?
Yeah, well.
And could he be putting himself in a position to get knocked down a peg or two?
I'm a big Matthew Stafford fan, but, he got one, and it wasn't with the team he came in with. It was with, Detroit. With the Rams. And there's nobody that's a bigger Matthew Stafford fan than me, but there's a lot that goes into winning a championship. And part of the issue that when you are as talented as Aaron Rodgers, it all falls on your shoulders. Oftentimes what ends up happening is coaches get to the point where you are their crutch. So in every critical situation, you're like, go make a play for us. And one of the things that happened to Aaron as Matt LaFleur came in there is Matt would say, I'll tell you what, instead of you playing on the high dive the entirety of the game, where the game is in your control all the time, let me handle first and second down through play calling. Just trust me on this. And then you can pick your favorite target on third downs, and you can kind of orchestrate what you want to do. But let me take some of that pressure off of you. And, they went 13-3, 3 straight years. Now, did they shit in their helmets during the playoffs? Yeah, they did. But that's it's like I say with Lamar. He needs to play better in the playoffs. Did Aaron need to play better in the playoffs? You're damn right he did. You're damn right he did. But the bottom line is, he's a 4-time MVP. Lamar's a 2-time MVP. Like, they're great players, but you just got to play better in critical moments in the playoffs. And, I would imagine, I hate to see that for CJ because he's such a good, conscientious kid. And, I don't know how much blowback he'll get for that, but because I love him so much, and I just respect his game and the way he's prepared and the way he's gone about it, I'm going to let him plead temporary insanity.
Okay. But do you worry at all if you're, talking to Houston Texan fans right now, do you worry that so much success and so much hype has come so fast to the point where he's being talked about as a legitimate MVP candidate, and the Texans are being talked about as a legitimate AFC championship team? All this after a season in which nobody saw this coming. He bursts on the scene. The team bursts on the scene. I just wonder if there's going to be some sort of, I don't know, market correction or something like that.
This is one of the most grounded kids I've sat down with. He really is. And, again, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say temporary insanity. But, man, he is so conscientious. He's such a hard worker. And sometimes, especially in these podcasts, sometimes you get rambling, you say things, and you probably look back on it and go, maybe that wasn't the best way to say it. Oftentimes I'm really blunt, and, and it rubs people the wrong way, to which I say, pound sand, I don't give a shit. But it does. And I don't look at him like, do I think he is smelling his own fumes, or do I think he thinks he's, arrived? Absolutely not. Not with his background, not the way he works, not the way he presents himself. I'm a big C.J. Stroud fan. I think he's going to be great.
Back to Aaron Rodgers. We're doing a lot of Aaron Rodgers today, but Aaron keeps finding himself in the news. This time, talking about a couple of videoed exchanges with Garrett Wilson in which the two seem like they're arguing. They're just not on the same kind of page, right? And I just wonder if this is a case of Aaron Rodgers missing the mandatory minicamp to go off to Egypt. Is this some of the consequences, unintended consequences, of him not being there?
I don't know that. I mean, it could be. I doubt it. I just think that Aaron is pretty adamant about what he wants, and just knowing the way he and Davante Adams worked, like he would tell me that Davante sees the game like a quarterback. And so you may get a look out of a formation in the first quarter. And Aaron would tell me, Davante would come back to the huddle and say, hey, did you see that look in the 3-by-1 formation, what we got defensively? If we get that look again, and I'm sitting at number 3, the inside receiver, I'm going to run a little stick nod, right? Mm-hmm. And we'll buy, okay. And it may be 2 quarters later in the third quarter, they get the look again. Mm-hmm. And he goes, and Davante will just look at me and go, you on the, like, just the recall and the way they talked about it, hit it perfectly, touchdown. Like, and he's trying, I'm sure that there's a bit of, hey, man, let's get on the same page. Now, you could be right, like, well, maybe you should have been here for minicamp. And that's probably an issue. It's not an issue until it becomes an issue, right? But those things do fester.
Optics.
Yeah, because...
especially in places like New York.
Right, and especially if, like, your offense is in sync early. Because you could sit there and go, dude, you had 6 weeks off after the minicamp. You got to go during the minicamp. Like, you could change. It's Egypt, and you got plenty of money. So you can afford the $500 change fee, right, or whatever it is. So, yeah, the optics are not good. Do I think it's a big deal? Probably not. Do I think the Jets are going to be pretty good? I do. So it probably irons itself out, but we've all had some heated conversations on a football field, so I don't think it's that big a deal, but yeah, it's, the optics aren't great.
Well, it also just goes to show that there's just this perception of chaos that always seems to surround the Jets, right? And so if Aaron goes to that mandatory minicamp, are they still possibly having these disagreements on the field? Of course.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but again, the optics are, especially after Aaron came out prior to missing that minicamp, and he was talking about how everybody has to be on the same page, and it needs to be all about football. And if you're not all about football, get the bleep out of here type stuff. And then he's gone.
Yeah, so those dust-ups on the sideline, if he's at that minicamp, nobody can go, well, he missed the minicamp.
Correct. It's just, hey, this is what
part of the war. Oh, look at they're hashing it out.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. But the optics being the optics, the Jets being the Jets,
right?
And Aaron,
and you media types being you media types.
Well, yeah,
and you're trying to stir the pot,
of course,
and create controversy because it's a better storyline.
Of course,
you guys are dicks.
I know,
man. Just dicks.
And your response always, as a player, was just not to talk to us.
Yeah, I didn't talk to you guys.
Nope.
I just I didn't care.
You just ignored us.
Yeah. The United States is calling me right now. Who knows?
Who knows? It could be. I know. Let's talk about your favorite subject.
Okay.
That'd be Russell Wilson.
Oh my word.
You want to set up the latest with Russ?
I read somewhere where he can't help himself. Like, his toxic positivity and just the contrived nature of everything that he says. So somebody was asking about the season. Now, he's got the calf injury. And do you know he injured his calf pushing a sled? I hope it wasn't pushing a sled for content on his Instagram page. I hope it was like real work.
So is this like the sleds that you guys used to do with the Broncos, where it's like a giant wooden sled?
Or they make them out. I mean, they make them out of it.
That's a conditioning thing, like a strength thing. It's usually for the linemen to do it, right?
Yeah, most of the time it's guys, defensive and offensive
Not
linemen that push. No, most of the quarterbacks don't push sleds. But he pushed sleds. He pulled his calf. You know, he's probably rented a plane. He's doing high knees on it right now as we speak. But when somebody asked him about the season, he goes, "Hey man, you like I could just see it. We just got to win 21 games, and then you know." I was like, "Oh Lord have mercy, this guy again."
And the report says 21.
It was 17. You guys got 17 games scheduled. No, we got 21, maybe 20 if we win the number 1 seed overall. Shut. Like nobody
I know.
Does anybody want to hear that?
I know.
Listen. If at some point he gets usurped by Justin Fields, his Hall of Fame campaign is over. Over.
Well, I know here in Denver, we were having the conversation when he got here, and we were all over the moon about
future Hall of Famer Russell Wilson.
Boy, how did we fall for that? Anyway, at that point, we were like, this guy is on a Hall of Fame trajectory.
Right.
But then after 2 terrible years with the Broncos, I would say he's now not
played himself.
He's played himself out of the Hall of Fame.
Right. I think you're right.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
I don't either. And if he at some point gets bypassed or usurped, or even if the start of the season is Justin Fields, that ship has sailed, right? Mm-hmm. That's over, isn't it? I mean, I know the Rusties do not want to hear that right now. Here come the Rusties in 3, 2, and 1. But come on, like, be honest. Be honest about this situation. Like, yes, you went to back-to-back Super Bowls with Russell Wilson, but that was the Legion of Boom. That was Marshawn Lynch in the running game. That was Russell managed these games, and we're going to be okay. That was a young quarterback that afforded you salary cap relief because he was on a rookie wage, and a guy that wasn't in charge of winning games so much as he was in charge of managing games. And then, when he started getting paid, they were still a playoff contending team and a playoff team, but you can't undo or forget how poor the last couple of years have been.
True, but you're always somebody that's talking about for quarterbacks, fit is so important. And after wearing out his welcome in Seattle, never finding any kind of traction with Sean Payton, is Pittsburgh, is Mike Tomlin, is the way that Pittsburgh plays, their culture, is it actually maybe the best fit possible for Russell Wilson?
This is where I think you're on to something. This is where, number one, they've got an outstanding defense, right? They've got TJ Watt. They can rush the passer. They've got, Mika Fitzpatrick. They've got some dudes. So they've got a legit big-time defense. Mike Tomlin wants a big-time, and Arthur Smith, their offensive coordinator, wants a big-time run game. And I think they've got some weapons on the offensive side of the ball. And so if you run the ball, that's the formula that they did it in Seattle with, right? You run the ball, you play great defense, you've got a chance. Now it's convincing Russell to play within that style, to understand, one, what your strengths are and let us lean into those strengths, but two, mitigate your own weaknesses. Understand what you're good at and what you're not good at. And I honestly think this is my true assessment of Russ, is that Russ thinks he could be Drew Brees. Russ thinks he can operate and manipulate the pocket like some of the great pocket players we've seen in this league.
He told you that while you were still doing games of his in Seattle.
No question.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, man, I study, the histrionics of Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage, and the Omahas and, getting everybody in direct, and the pocket presence of Tom Brady, and his ability to dish the ball inside and out, and then just the footwork in the pocket of Drew Brees and so like these are the guys that he told me he studied, and why he studied them. Well, that's not what you are, and so we'll see. The whole hey, let Russ cook thing. Again, my opinion, that was a campaign created by Russ and Russ's people, and it's not truly who he is. And, whether it's the people I've talked to in Seattle, all the coordinators, the head coach, everybody, or the people here that I've talked to with the Broncos. It's not what he's good at, but that's what he's trying. Like, at some point, you got to let go of that pipe dream. At some point, you wanted to be built like me. You realized that at a certain point in your life, that's never going to be happen. Like, you know what? Let this inspire you to work out. Let this inspire you to be better. But you're never going to achieve this. This is unrealistic for you. You're always going to be a little bit pudgy. That's okay. A little bit pudgy for you is okay. But don't let this discourage you. Let it encourage you to go work, Mike. That's what I'm saying.
I will admit, there are many times we sit here doing this, and
Right.
I am equal parts humbled
And awed.
and in awe.
Yeah.
I mean, look at him.
I don't blame you.
Look at him.
Look at, and one thing you can't do, outwork a bad diet. You can't outwork a bad diet. You might want to write that down.
All right, I'll write it down.
You
in
write
my
it down.
handy dandy notebook. This last story, I can't wait to do because
Okay.
I know how you're going to react to this.
Do you now?
I do,
You think
and
you can read my mind? What, all of a sudden you're my wife?
Yeah,
You
that's
can
right.
read my mind?
That's right.
Okay, we'll see.
All right. Well, let's all try this, shall we? Let's see how Mark reacts.
Well, let's do it together.
But as I lay it out, I think you all know how Mark's going to react.
Okay.
So the Miami Dolphins have not won a playoff game since 2000.
Oh, gosh.
And Mike McDaniel is doing something this year. Rather than avoiding the narrative, he says we're going to lean into the narrative.
Okay.
And knowing that people are going to make a big deal about them not having won a playoff game since 2000, 24 years, everything they do is 24 minutes after the hour. Meetings, 24 minutes after the hour. Practice, 24 minutes after the hour. How do you feel about that?
I would like to punch him in the face.
I knew it.
Coach Capri Pants. In all seriousness,
You got that from me, by the way.
I did get that from you. I don't have to credit you anymore.
you don't.
You're my intellectual
I
property.
know.
We've
I
discussed this many times. I just really. This is what we're gonna do. 24 after the hour. That's gonna fix our inability to, win games in December.
It's
That's
symbolic.
Right, symbolic. I have a different relationship with Mike McDaniel because Mike McDaniel was my ball boy when I played for the Broncos. So I look at that and I just kind of shake my head all right, I get you're a great play designer and I get you really know football and all that stuff, but really, we're going to start the meetings at 24. And so instead of starting at 7, we're starting at 7:24, and that all of a sudden is going to inspire us to get the monkey off our back of 24 years without whatever it is. What do they haven't done? Haven't won a playoff game. Haven't won a playoff game. There's a bigger reason you haven't won a playoff game.
And what's that?
Well, I discovered it when I played in Super Bowl 33 in Miami, and we used their facility. So we come into the locker room it was Wednesday. We had Tuesday night off. And one of my teammates at the time, we had a locker room full of characters. And one of my teammates at the time played defense, they had this big white grease board, right? And he got the pin out. And he wrote 10 reasons the Miami Dolphins will never, ever win the Super Bowl. And I'm like, oh, this ought to be good. Interesting. And then he proceeded to list all the 10 strip clubs he had been to the night before. And he's like, there's too much to do here for you to be any good at football. When you get into December and the rest of the league, I always said this about, you go home in November, whether I was in Washington or in Denver, it's November, it's gray, it's dark, you had a bad practice or you had a bad week before. Coaches are grinding your ass. They're making it miserable. You drive home, it's sleeting snow or rain. You get home, you shovel some food in your gullet, you strap yourself in ice, and you go to bed, and you're freaking miserable. And you get up the next day and you do it again, and the coaches got their foot up your ass, and it's just unbearable. And you're just like, all I got to do is get a win here to get these damn guys off my freaking case. This sucks. Meanwhile, in Miami, you're like, woohoo, what do we want to do? Let's go have some Mai Tais. This is awesome. Hey, it's sunny. Want to head to the beach? Get a Corona. Hey, where are we going tonight? It's not miserable. It's not miserable. And the other thing is, I do think you get a little bit soft when you're in those conditions.
As evidenced by their record in December and January
and
what they did in the playoff
when
game.
you go on the road and it's cold, and like as much as I hated to go to Miami late in the season, way worse for me. And I played in 2 cities that, have some weather, but way worse for me. You know this. To go to Miami in December than to go to Green Bay in December.
Right.
Much rather play in a cold weather city in December than go to Miami where, you got to coat your nuts in Gold Bond so they don't stick to your legs and bat wings on the sideline, where you're doing this constantly trying to get your nuts off your thighs. Like that's the worst. And it's just miserable hot.
Bat wings.
You get bat wings.
Yeah.
You walk and you're trying to, but you're trying to do this, as you're walking back to get, to head to the field after you've been sitting there and your stuff's, stuck to your thighs. I hated playing in Miami in December. Hated it.
In defense of Mike McDaniel, okay, it'd be one thing if this dude was just taking over the job for the first time.
Okay.
And he was coming in with all these ideas.
Right.
And he's talking about doing meetings at 724. I could see then that you'd get the collective eye roll, right?
Right.
But this is a guy who's been there for 2 years. The team, the players have learned that he is kind of quirky.
Yeah.
But they trust him. He's had 2 winning seasons. So maybe he feels like he knows his team well enough, and he trusts that they know him well enough that everything that we may look at as being corny, maybe they lean into it. The same way. I mean, look, you've been around the NFL. You go into NFL buildings every single week. There's like little sayings and mottos up on the wall and things like that seem like it's kind of high schoolish or college.
Yeah.
But it's the pros. But everyone seems to do it. There must be a reason why. There must be a benefit to it.
Well, there's some bulletin board material and stuff, but there's difference between like bulletin board material that kind of motivates you at a kind of just kind of an animalistic level, and then there's stupidity. And 24 after the hour is just stupidity.
All right.
That would make me roll my I would as a veteran player, I'd like, really, this is the little game we're playing.
All right. Coach Capri Pants, I tried, but
I don't know.
Here you go.
Get a long pair of pants, buddy, then maybe we can talk.
Okay.
Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth Podcast, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the program. For Mike, I am Mark. We will be back with you guys next week. Make sure you subscribe, click the buttons, do whatever it is you do. Okay, take care. We'll see you guys beginning of next week. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinky Truth, we thank you so much. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more content just like this. If you want to see more of our videos, you can also be sure to check out our playlist. Let us know exactly what you think in the comments below. We appreciate you guys so much for being a part of that.
Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.